65th anniversary to Sega, so we're going to showcase really quick all the Sega games that we have here at Arcade Galactic, starting from the oldest one that we have to the newest. And so the oldest one would be Pitfall 2 Lost Caverns, which I recently did a video about this one and its rarities, so you can check the link in the description. Most people think of Atari when they think of Pitfall and Pitfall 2, since that's where the series originated from and it was designed by Activision, but Sega reprogrammed it and turned it into their own arcade thing with this giant joystick, and this game would be officially 40 years old this year since it was released in 1985. Next up is one that everybody should know if you are into video games at all, and that would be Afterburner, not 1, but 2. I didn't time that very well. But there we go, there's the 2 with all the floating balls. Afterburner, released in 1987, came with this rad, realistic flight stick sort of controller. No pedals or anything, you just have that. You do have your throttle controller over here, but this is the defining jet fighter arcade game, which at the time when these graphics were absolutely revolutionary. This was top of the line that you could find. No game console that was out in 1987 could do graphics quite like this, and if I'm recalling correctly, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, no console was able to get an arcade perfect port of this until the Sega Saturn came out in the mid-90s. But this is another awesome game, and you do need to work on the focus for that monitor, but it's still playable and still lots of fun. And then you would go to a galaxy far, far away in Sega's Star Wars Trilogy arcade. Yes, we need to fix the light bulb on this one, but this was released in 1998, and if I recall correctly, used the Model 3 hardware, used a flight stick, not quite the same as Afterburner just mentioned there. It's basically a giant analog joystick. You could also use the buttons here for special events, but this recreated some of the action elements from the first 3 or the original trilogy of Star Wars movies, culminating in a lightsaber battle with Darth Vader. And I used to be really good at this game. I used to be able to top the leaderboards, and I could beat this game on 1 credit without even getting hit. But I'm way out of practice on it at this point. But still, if you've never played this one, yes, the graphics would look a bit aged now. And here's that Darth Vader battle that I mentioned. But again, for the time, they were really cutting edge, and the game was a lot of fun. Although the lightsaber battles did take a bit of practice to do precisely. But once you learned how to do it, it was a lot of fun. On first glance, this wouldn't look to be a Sega game. In fact, you'd be thinking, why on earth are you showing this when this is obviously a Nintendo game? And even on the cabinet, it says Capcom there, and it doesn't say Sega anywhere specifically, but Sega did work with Capcom and Nintendo for this game. Nintendo really was just the licensor on it, while Capcom developed most of the software. Sega did the hardware stuff on it. So this one is kind of a gray area Sega game, but still it is a Sega game, and so it counts. Somebody's playing it right now, but we have footage of this one on our channel as well as on Arcade Heroes, where you use a real Poltergust 5000 light gun and you suck in ghosts. It's kind of like Ghostbusters. I mean, it's Luigi's Mansion arcade, or it's Luigi's Mansion. I think it's based on the 3DS version, just with updated graphics and of course the specialized controllers and stuff, but still lots of fun and a very unique game out of all the other light gun games that you could possibly find out there. See, that's where you have to stun the ghosts and then you have to suck them in, drag them into your vacuum device. And the last but not the least is Sega's House of the Dead Scarlet Dawn, which is essentially House of the Dead 5. It just doesn't say 5 on it, but it is the continuation of the House of the Dead story. It has a pretty cool cabinet with a sensor that detects when you move by, try and get a jump scare. Has these curtains on it. Nobody's playing it now, so we can come inside here. But this one was released in 2018. Uses these machine gun controllers where you can use these to switch to your special weapons. Use this on the front to fire your special weapons as well. Has extreme audio, which is a 7.1 channel surround sound system. Can't really see that here, but there's the speakers. And you also have these overhead devices, which include wind effects and special multicolor lighting effects. There's also this hole here that will blast air at you, and there's rumble effects inside the seat. But the game itself has not been released to consoles, and it, just like Luigi's Mansion Arcade, which I forgot to mention, was that version of the game had not been released to consoles. And so you just go through the House of the Dead story, blasting zombies and giant monsters and seeing what you can do to get the top score there. And of course there's different leaderboards for single player or two players working together. But that would cover everything from Sega on their 65th anniversary, at least that we have. There's lots more Sega arcade games that are in existence that have been out and about there. Let us know which one is your favorite Sega arcade game of all time. I imagine many would say Outrun or Daytona USA or maybe Virtua Fighter, something along those lines. But either way, we're still happy to provide a few Sega games. And I guess speaking of Virtua Fighter really quick, we still have Virtua Fighter 2, but it just hasn't been working for years. We need to figure out how to get that back up and running so we can wheel it back out onto the floor. But thanks for watching, catch you on the next video, and happy birthday, Sega!